kind of light with the number of people, but let's get it started. Okay, the meeting is now being recorded. I'm going to continue this, and welcome to the Central Florida TechSIG meeting on October 27. And we have a smaller than average starting group, but let's start off. And Paul, you were saying Mike's air conditioning was a problem. That's at his house, right?
Right, in his house. He's getting a new system, air handler and compressor.
Last time he talked about it, an individual thing that he had just for his office in one other room, I think. So is he keeping that? And
oh, of course, yeah. He's got a standalone system in his computer office because, well, so do I. Where I am right now in my computer room or my office, I got a window air conditioner. Of course, there's too much heat that's generated, and to cool it down. And Mike's got all kinds of crap running. So he's got a two-part system, just like a house. He's got an air handler and a compressor, and to keep his computer room cool. And then he's got a little, I think his wife has got a similar setup in her office also. So, but he's getting a whole house computer, a whole new house air conditioner now.
Wow.
So mine was like $6,000 or 6.5, and I think I got 2.5 tons and he's getting 4 tons, and which would probably cost maybe, $8,000 on a normal unit, but he's not getting a normal unit. He's getting a very high SEER unit with a lot of options, variable speed this and variable speed that, and UV lights and umpty. He showed me the list, so I don't know about variable speed compressors and variable speed air handlers. I got a variable speed air handler, but I've never heard it run low. I mean, when you turn it on, it's running. It never cycles down. When it reaches temperature, everything cycles off, so maybe it's not full variable speed. I know that it is variable speed though, but you have to see how it's going to work next year when it's 90 degrees outside. Well, it's still hot. He'll probably see how it works now.
Maybe you haven't found the dial that says slow, fast.
Well, I had to run the fan today. I had a little bit of a problem with my air filter. It collapsed. Oh. So, the air wasn't being filtered. So I just put the filter in just a few weeks ago. So I wasn't happy about that. So what I did is I took the grate off. I've got, the way mine is set up is I have a grate in the kitchen, which is the input air. And it goes to the bottom of the air conditioner. Well, the air conditioner had a filter in it, but it was in a terrible spot. What I ended up doing is I took out the grate in the kitchen. It's 20 by 20 grate.
Okay.
And I went to Lowe's and I bought another grate that you can install a filter in, which is, so yeah. I installed that and so I can change the filter in 2 seconds, and it's really easy. So anyway, something happened. So what I did today is I found that in the morning, and I ran the air conditioner just on fan for about 3 hours because I wanted to get all the moisture off the evaporator. Because after lunch, I went in there with a vacuum with a brush, and I wanted to vacuum the inside of the evaporator and get as much dirt or dust out of there. And then I swiped it with a paintbrush, and then I vacuumed it again, and then I vacuumed the bottom. The bottom of it is about almost 3 by 3. So, it's a pretty good size. You could almost crawl in there, almost, I can. but it's not strong enough to hold me, you know, because it's all fiberglass. So, but anyway, it's a big area, so I can see up in there really well. And I cleaned everything up and put a new filter in. So anyway, Mike is getting a 4-ton. He's got 5 tons right now, and he's having that removed. He said he was over air conditioned with 5 tons in that house. You know, so you know if you have too much tonnage, you know, the air conditioner shuts. It cools down too quick, shuts off too fast. This is the textbook answer. It runs too low. It runs too short. Shuts down too fast. Doesn't take the moisture out of the house. Cools it down. You know, so you know there's a happy medium there to where you need to get it cooled down and get the moisture out. So you need the proper tonnage. So anyway, he's putting in 4 ton, which is, he says, the proper tonnage. But with all these bells and whistles, we'll see how it works out.
So is Mike not coming then because of the air conditioning?
I would make the assumption that he's kind of tied up with the air conditioning people.
Man,
You know, you never know.
Or if they didn't get it going, he's awful warm
sure.
and uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah, they can't leave till they crank it up. They had all kinds of problems with mine getting it cranked up. They had to make 4 service calls coming back. They had a control problem from the thermostat. And when they left, I realized in the middle of the night that the air conditioning was not shutting off at all, no matter where you put the thermostat. So I had to go out to the garage and shut the compressor off and let the air handler run. Then they came out and fixed that. And then they couldn't get the heat to run. And they were changing wires around and they found a bad wire. And another couple of service calls, nobody could really get it going. The problem was when they put in my new copper lines, along with the drain line, they put the control line for the thermostat in the same PVC pipe that's, 6 inches big. And what probably happened is that the control wire got damaged, shorted out. So what we ended up doing was rather than the control wire going down into the ground and under the garage and out to the compressor, we then ran a wire from the air handler up into the attic and across the attic. And then I actually did the work. I didn't want the guy in the attic because I wanted lots of wire up there and I wanted the wire in certain places. And I didn't want him screwing around up there because I know that no matter what he did, I wouldn't be happy. So I said to the guy, look, just feed me the wire. I'll go in the attic, bring it across. I'll drill a hole and shove it through. You can do all the hookup, obviously. So that's what I did. So now the wire comes out the side of the house, comes down toward the air handler. And once they had a good control wire with the 7 wires in it, everything was good.
Oh, when you say air handler, don't you mean, you're talking about the evaporator coil?
Right. The evaporator coil is inside
Okay.
the air handler. The air handler is a term used for where the fan is and the coil and the TVX valve and everything.
Okay.
All right, let's leave that subject. And Paul, did you say you did have some technical stuff that you wanted?
Yeah, I got one question. I got a technical question. Well, did I mention last time that I was getting a Roku and that I was moving my internet?
I think so.
So I got the Roku. It's installed. And I moved my modem and router from the back of the house where it was no reason to be back there now. Of course, it was back there because that's where it got installed and that's where my wife's G4 was. Well, still is, but it no longer has been going on the internet for the last 10 years. So I wanted better coverage in the house and for the Roku. So I moved it up into the living room where the TV is and the Roku. And I pulled, it took me hours because I did a lot more stuff. I pulled the Roku, I pulled the Spectrum cable for the internet out. And I also had to pull out the Ethernet cable for the camera system, went to the router. So I had to pull that out, and I had to tack everything down, move everything, drill new holes in the wall, and then feed everything through. And that was kind of the easy part. But when I was taking the Ethernet wire off, there were several places where the outside jacket insulation was falling apart. And I looked at it, and then there was some insulation on the individual wires that were falling apart. And I said, if this works, I'll be amazed. So when I turned it on, I was not amazed. It didn't work. There was no camera. So I've got several brand new runs of Ethernet cable. I bought a whole bunch of 50s and 100. So I grabbed one of the 50s, and the last time I had to run 100, it was 100 from one end of the house to the other. So I kind of measured it, and I kind of ran it through the inside of the house, and that was okay with spare wire, with wire to spare. So I ran it on the outside of the house, tacked everything down, put it through, and got the camera back online. And I had to throw out that 100-foot piece. It was just out there from the sun and the elements. It just broke apart when I was moving it. So got that up, and I took my phone, and I went in the living room, and I measured the speed, and I was getting like 89 megabits over there. I was getting almost 100, 98. I was getting 98. And in my office where I am now, I'm getting like 89, 88, 89. So I got fairly good. And I got now I got coverage on the driveway of the garage where I am a lot, because I've got a picnic table out there, which is my workbench, where I work on a lot of stuff, where I build a lot of stuff. And when I go out there with the phone, the internet just kind of holds, but then after a few minutes, it's gone. And, I can't run Pandora. I can't run really, or I got to go on data, which I usually don't do at the house. So now I got great coverage on the driveway and in the garage and everything. So the whole internet was working. So everything is back up and running, and as it was. So here's my Roku question. Just, I got the Roku all installed, and I wanted to watch some YouTubes to refresh my memory on setup. I hadn't done it in well over a year. So I wanted to, get a little refresher course. So I watched a couple of videos, and in one of them, it said there's a secret menu, 5 secret menus on Roku by special pushing of the buttons. And it came up twice, and I actually saved one of the links. And so I said, okay, that's cool. And then a few days later, I said, well, let me try this stuff out. So on my Roku in my office here, I looked at all the options, and they all have different things they do. Like, it's a setup thing. It's a high level setup. But the one thing I was interested in was the baud rate. And I want to make sure if you don't have fast internet and you set the board too fast, from what I understand, it won't, you'll get freeze framing and everything. So you don't want to set that too high or low. But anyway, I have good internet, so I want to set it at the highest. But I could not get into the menu. I did it like a half a dozen times, and it was like I wanted to reset the baud rate, or at least look at it, I want to at least just look at it, you know? And it was like 5 presses on the home button, and then 3 presses on the rewind button, and then 2 presses, I think, on the fast forward button, if I remember correctly. And it just didn't work. And I don't know if anybody's heard about the secret menu.
No.
If you are having problems with that, my guess would be
I'm
there
not
are
having
different.
problems.
No, it's not working. That's a problem. If you want
No,
it
it
to
is
work.
working.
Yeah, I'm no, but the number of buttons and presses on the buttons aren't.
Oh,
You
right,
said is not working, correct?
right, correct.
Okay, if that isn't working, most likely you either have a newer model than what they did in the video, or they made some changes in the software, would be my guess. Most likely the video is maybe a version or two. You know, they've had multiple versions of the Roku box itself and the remote control. So it could be that what used to work doesn't work anymore. So it may not be your unit. You may be doing it right, but it just doesn't. It doesn't work on the model you have. And it may not work on any anymore. They may have updated the software, so that doesn't work the way it did.
Well, the unit I tried it on is the one in where I am now. And that's the Roku I got from Mike Ungerman. And he gave it to me when we bartered something out. You know, I got it from him about a year ago, something like that. And then he had it for a while. So that's an older model. Now, the one I got in the living room, which I just bought, I didn't try it on that one. And that's brand new. Just got it from Amazon on Prime days, you know. So,
Well, that would be my first guess.
yeah.
Is this a
Well,
box or a stick? Is it a box or a stick, Roku?
it's the Premier,
Is that a
Roku
box or a stick?
a box. You're muted.
Yeah. Now I'm not. I have the stick fairly recent, and I don't know anything about the boxes. I used to have a box, but what's the advantage of a box over the stick streaming?
You would have to ask. I got Roku coming out of my ears, but you'd have to ask Sean that. He's got a stick. There are some advantages, but I can't remember.
I looked over, I was advising somebody to buy a Roku, and so I went on the website, and they've lowered the price on the stick, because now it's $24. I think about a year ago I paid $100 for it, and I really couldn't see any advantages of getting the higher price Roku, except that it has voice control and it has 4K and so forth like that. But I'm not really interested in getting a high resolution anyway. So I watch movies, about the only thing, and TV shows on the Roku. And I couldn't figure out, I had asked a question quite a few years ago about, is there a buffer inside the Roku? And they told me no, there aren't any buffers at all, even with this chip that you insert and some of the previous ones, that there's no buffers, anything. So any pauses in the transmission, you can't really correct it by getting any kind of buffering, because it's a case of the transmitter, where the station is coming from, nothing you can do.
Basically, you're just getting it as fast as that Roku can uncompress the signal.
Right.
I think different Rokus, it's not that, one's better than the other, but some have different features that you may or may not be interested in. Like, I think one of them had voice control, and it was more money. I don't care about voice control. My wife is very primitive using it. That's going to be her Roku in the living room. So I need something really simple with a few buttons, you know, not a lot of buttons here. That's you know, that you can't veer off the road very far.
Well, use the star key for doing special things.
Yeah.
The star button that lets you do some things you normally can't do.
And I suspect that my problems with the pausing is it's the transmitting that they're getting their servers are getting overloaded with so many people signing on to that particular channel.
Did you check your internet speed?
It's pretty fast. I'm not sure that has anything to do with it.
It does, because you'll get freeze framing if it's too slow.
But it
I
only
have-
happens occasionally and not very often.
I have a Roku smart TV with a Fire Stick in it in one room, and I have a Fire TV with a Roku on it in the other room. So I have both. What I have found though is on the Fire TV running the YouTube TV, which is the subscription service, streaming service, I get and actually even running YouTube, I get a lot of out of sync. The words are coming up before the voice, they're moving their mouth or the other way around. But, and it only seems to be with YouTube and YouTube TV, but it's on that TV and it's on the Fire TV part of it. And I haven't tested it, but I think if I run it, if I change the input to the Roku box, I won't have that trouble. And so it's something in the TV itself, I believe.
I'm just wondering if anybody knows the answer to this. You know, I've got my router on channel 6, and I've got the Spectrum modem that also has got an internet signal that I don't use. And I've got that selected. I put that on channel 1 so there's no interference. Now I'm going to have 2 Rokus on channel 6, along with the printers. That, you know, along with the printers and the 2 cell phones and the iPad. Obviously, all of this stuff is not being used at once. And 2 computers, my computer and my wife's laptop. So, you know, that's what we got on the internet signal. And I didn't know if it would be any advantage to possibly trying to use one of the, I don't have any problem, but I just didn't know, you know, all that crap on one channel, you know, I just didn't know if I might be wise to unload something onto one of the Spectrum channel, onto one of the Spectrum channels where it's on channel 1. You
It
know,
doesn't make any difference.
no difference?
No,
Okay.
you can check your transfer rate.
It was just a thought, you know.
Inside your system, you can check your transfer rate. Just, you got a laptop and you got another computer, take a big file and transfer it from one computer to the other on the same line, and look at the, go into the manager and take a look at the baud rate. You can see the baud rate there, which is nothing except the switching rate. And it will show you what that passband is while you're running. But you only need 5 or 6 megabytes and it'll work fine.
I guess one of the advantages of box over a streaming stick would be that with a box you can hook direct to Ethernet. You don't have to have Wi-Fi, and I might do that. I might get a box which I could connect directly to Ethernet and bypass my Wi-Fi.
Hey, Dave, when I got my new internet service from AT&T and he installed his cable modem, he took out a Ethernet cord, you know, and plugged it in the box, and he plugged it right in the back of my Roku. Free service, you know?
So you've got the
Roku
Ultra.
right?
Huh?
Yours is,
Yeah, Ultra.
yours is an Ultra. I don't think the Premier has a, does yours have an Ethernet cable? Ethernet port?
No,
Port?
the Ultra is the only one with the hard line you can attach to it.
So that's not an option, Dave, not for Paul.
Uh-huh.
I had stepped away for a minute, Paul. So what is actually the issue with your new Roku?
None.
Oh, okay. What are you trying to solve?
It's a secret menu is what he's trying to access.
I just wanted to see if I can get into the secret menu.
Oh, okay. And
No,
you looked at a video on YouTube to figure out how to get into there, and that's not working.
Well, it actually came up. I don't think it came up in a video. I think it came up. I'll take a look while we're talking. I think it came up in a file. I read it.
What are the menus? What do they do? What's in the menus?
Well, if you guys can talk, I can maybe find the answer in a couple of minutes here.
Okay.
So kind of, if I find something, I'll let you know.
Okay. I just installed a Ubiquiti makes a really cool little 20. It was under $30. A PoE switch with 5 ports on it. So I ran a Ethernet from my switch in my closet, power over Ethernet, into this little device that I put behind my TV. And then I took the other 4 ports and ran it to one to the Roku and then the Apple TV and the believe it or not, my DVD player has a Ethernet port.
Come on.
Figured I'd fill in take care of everything, and that's great. Into the Tableau as well.
Yeah, fine.
And being able to have Ethernet is really superior. And mine's the Ultra as well, that does have it, and seems to work well.
John,
Yeah.
you have
No, don't do that.
a hub like that's distributing PoE to 5 different directions. If you plug it into a device that does not have PoE, is that bad, or does it just ignore it?
Just ignores it. And actually, the only power over Ethernet is going into this new switch. The other ports are not PoE, but it wouldn't matter.
Right, but if you plug that Ethernet cord that was PoE, had power in it, into a device that did not have power over internet in its port, it would ignore it, right?
Right.
Okay.
By the way, Paul, I looked up how you get to the secret menus.
I've got the answers here, by the way.
Okay. Press home.
Just real quick. The first one is just text, and it shows 8 menus, and they all do different things. The one I zeroed in on was menu 5 for the bit rates. And but this text, this URL, this web page is from Tech Times, and it was written in 2016. And the other bookmark I got, I did find a video. Let's see, I think this is a video. Well, it shows a video, but it's not moving. So maybe it's just a picture of a video. And it talks about setting your bit rate and all of that stuff also. It says, Roku, manually set your connection speed. So that's what I was going for. And let me see if I got a date on this one. And this is from TechNI Pages. 2020, October 15th, 2020, just posted.
Okay, Paul, what's the recipe? You said it was 5 presses of the home button, 3 presses of the rewind button, and then 2 presses of the fast forward button. And that gets you into the secret menu?
Yes.
Yeah, you can look it up, Gary.
Okay, cool.
I just looked it up, and it says press home button to get to the home screen. Press the home button 5 times. Press the fast forward button once. Press play, then rewind. Play
Well,
one
it
more
depends.
time, then fast forward, and it's supposed to come up.
Right.
That's the baud rate?
That'll just get you to the menu.
Oh, hey, can we
Now,
post that so we can all get that right?
Let me give you I just looked it up on Google.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Look
we
up
can find it.
Roku
I'll find it.
secret menu.
Just put it in the notes.
so maybe
Interesting.
maybe I missed something. Maybe I jumped. Of course, the one bookmark I used, it jumps you right into that bitrate menu. It didn't say anything about getting into the secret menu. So maybe I skipped a whole step. Okay.
This is pretty fun. Cool. This is pretty techy.
Yeah, I like the tech part, but I don't own a Roku. I tried one, that wasn't for me.
So the only other thing I want to talk about, you guys can come back to this, but I'll just, I've been taking too much time. I'm in the process of buying a Windows 10 laptop. I'm keeping my tower that I usually use with my Windows 7. Everything's good on that, but I just need a Windows 10 computer. I've known that for many months now. I'm just getting going now. I actually have something picked out, but I need one for Zooming because I'm on this iPad here, which works okay, can do a couple of things, but it's pretty restrictive in comparison to a computer. But other than that, my tax program will not run on Windows 7 anymore, TurboTax. You now have to run TurboTax on Windows 10. Last year, it was an option, 7 or 10, Windows 7, Windows 10. No, I called the company and they said, yeah, we're letting you do it the last year, but starting 2020, you're gonna have to use Windows 10. So, and I probably need a Windows 10 computer for something anyway. I don't know what yet, but I need to get it for my tax program. I'm sure I'll be using it for other things. So what I'm looking at, and I've looked at, well, me and Mike did a lot of research for me. I started with Refresh Computers, called them, talked to them, told Mike on a couple of the things I was interested in, and he was very unimpressed with the price versus the age of the unit along with the features. So then we got off to Best Buy, Costco, and Walmart. I happened to be in Walmart, and last week just picking up some household stuff, and which I normally don't stop at the computer stuff ever. I just really don't care. And but I stopped by and I looked at everything, and there was a guy there. I told him exactly what I was looking for, and he guided me over to one or two of them. And but he had the tags reversed on two of them, so I'm not exactly sure. But I did take a picture of the tag. It was a HP Pavilion something, and 500 gig hard drive and all the specs I wanted. And when I went to Google it, there's like 20 computers with that general model, Pavilion HP. So, but there is specific model numbers. Of course, they're on the website in Walmart, but he wouldn't give it to me, or didn't know it, or wouldn't tell me, or so it maybe couldn't check it, or maybe he was too stupid. I don't know. So I looked at that stuff and I told Mike, what I found, and then the Amazon didn't have too much. Costco had nothing, but I ended up at Best Buy, and I'm looking at this. Now I forget how to pronounce it. Asus.
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 Yeah, 15-inch with a where is it? AMD Ryzen 5 core processor, 8 gig of RAM, 512 solid state hard drive with a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 video processor, which Mike really got off on. He says that's really good. And I did some comparisons in it. It looks pretty good. It's $599, and it's got everything that I really want. Don't think I need 16 gig of RAM. I'm not doing gaming. I'm not a business computer person. I think 8 gig is fine. And I even 512 is probably overkill for me. Probably is. Well,
they fill up fast.
Yeah, I know, but I've got a backup drive for my Windows 7 computer, and I've got just a standalone hard drive, right? That's in a box. That's just a hard drive, and I dumped all my libraries on that, and that's all my word processing, my pictures, which is the biggest thing on my computer, and
Right.
some other crap, and some other video, and the whole thing is only 40 gig. And my Windows 7 computer that is now 10 years old with a 750 gig hard drive is not even half full already. So 500 on this one, even 320 would probably be okay, but it's not that much more money to get 500 and then you're done worrying about it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at. And there's a lot of them that are close. I don't care about and a lot of things that turn me off on some of the computers that I found. I think this one's got a 2.1 gig processor, but I found on some of these others, they'll advertise like 3.5 gig processor. But some of these processors, a lot of guys, I'm just learning about this now, but a lot of these processors on some of the computers that I saw that had good specs that I was looking for have a 1 gig processor, runs at 1 gig, and then when it needs to, it's got a boost. And it can boost as high as 3.5. And I don't know much. I didn't know anything about that a week ago. But I asked Mike about that, and he says, yeah, it cranks up when it needs to. And I read some stuff on it, and it says, those processors that run at 1 gig use a lot less battery power. They run cooler and all of that power stuff. And I understand that. And that makes sense. But in my world, I don't care about that. If it runs a little warmer, if the battery doesn't last as long, I'm going to be running the thing. I'm not flying on an airplane like I used to, running a laptop on the airplane, what I did for work. And
Paul, it just depends on what kind of applications you're using. Some applications just gobble a lot of memory and a lot of processor power, and most apps don't. But, if you're using art programs or CAD programs that have, 100 layers, you're going to need as much power as you need, as you can get.
I agree. My wife, who is a artist,
Okay.
she used to do the layouts on the boards, 30 years ago. And then she moved into graphic on the computer, and then she taught at UCF. Well, she worked there for 20 years, but she also taught on the side for UCF computer, not word processing, graphic design. And her G4's got one of the best Adobe things on there. And so, I know what you're talking about, So, but I'm not going to be doing any of that crap. I mean, I'm running Word, I'm running Excel, I'm not compiling any programs. And if I do something fancy, I mean, I used to do programming when I worked for Lockheed, and I got a Fortran background and Atlas and Ada and all of this crap, but I'm not doing any of that stuff now. Although I love doing basic, and stuff like that. And I once wrote a mortgage program. I mean, I can do all that stuff, but I'm retired. So, I'm just doing the basic crap day by day, So, I'll get me a computer. It'll cost $600 plus tax. And I'll be good for a long time with that, probably, you know. So that's all I got for today. That might be of interest to the group.
Well, it sounds like TurboTax is your big program, so you got to make sure your computer can handle that.
Well, I'm sure if my Windows 7 handled it, I'm sure Windows 10 can.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Isn't it weird that TurboTax is not doing it online now?
They're
Oh,
not?
really?
Well, you just said that you have to have Windows 10 in order to use it.
No, it's a Windows 7.
You have to have Windows 7?
No,
10.
he had 7. He needs 10.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
why do you need 10? It doesn't, if you're going to a web browser, why would you need 10?
I'm not going to a web browser. I use the CD.
Well, do they have it on a web browser? Can you do it on the web, on their website?
Right, but I do more stuff with TurboTax than, you know, I create what if programs, and you can't do that on the web. They let you do your taxes and that's it. When I do forecasting for the next year, I take a program for this year and I modify it as to what my next year's finances are going to be, and then I come up with my estimated taxes.
Okay.
And I'm just, look, I've been doing TurboTax since since long time, 25 plus years, you know, and I know a fair amount about taxes, or at least a fair amount in my world of taxes. And I guess I'm just accustomed. I mean, that's how it used to be. You went to the store, you bought the CD, and you got a book that was 3 inches thick. Now, you know, now you hover over something and it gives you the information on that line.
I understand.
But
Maybe there's a website where you can do the forecasting.
right, but I'm, you know, if you want to call it old school, I just like having that program in my computer and be able to just crank it up anytime I want to and have several, you know, on my computer, I got like, I'm out of space. I got from 2012 to 2019 all in a line. And I got the other icons. The other icons are now, I got hid away on a file. But if I want to go back, I can just pop them open and just look at other things, how I did other things, or why is this year so different than 2 years ago? And, you know, I've got a lot of information at my fingers for research if I want to look at something.
Right.
I like have, you know, that's how I do it. That's how I like to have it done. And so you are limited doing it online, and yes, it's free.
Or having no money is so much simpler.
Yeah, really.
Hmm.
Oh, I wish I had your problems, Paul.
I didn't say I had money. I just said I'm doing taxes.
Is that called
You're going
creative?
to have a lot less because you're going to have to buy a new computer to do your forecasting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called
But
creative.
look,
You know,
the biggest thing we do is my wife's Schedule C for her art business. After she retired in 2002 from UCF, after doing it in 4 other states, she decided to have fun with art rather than doing something, you know, that gets thrown away with graphic art. So she decided to do sculpture. So she started doing bronzes. And to make a long story short, you know, bronzes are very expensive to produce, and they're very, you got to work with foundries, and they got to be finished off. And waxes, and she got into mixed media, and now she only does horses basically. And she's in a bunch of galleries. Our main gallery's in St. Augustine. She's got one in Daytona, and she does shows. Well, she was doing shows like all the time until the COVID thing came. Now the art world's doing online shows. And she just won. Now what they're doing is she takes a sculpture and and takes a professional picture of it, and you hand it in, and they judge it online rather than in person. And she just got best in show and first place. So, and we've got one day, I'll show you her art studio, but she's got horses that are from like 10 inches, 12 inches up to, well,
Well,
5 feet, 4 feet, so
is this tech related? We're at 52 minutes, Stan.
yeah, I'm done.
Really?
Yeah.
Sean's right. All right.
Okay, moving along. Who wants to go next?
I got one. I got just a short one. I did I showed you that little tech boost box that I got. Well, I actually upgraded it at my web speed now to 400, and they gave me a new modem and Wi-Fi set. It's very nice, very nice. I get 200 megabytes out in my driveway and in the backyard, no problem on 5G, and the booster on the 2.5. I've got that downstairs for other things, and it really works out well. And it's about the same size as the other one, maybe a tad bigger, but so far it's been very reliable. I normally get around 500.
When you say a booster, you mean range extender?
Yeah, that little thing I showed you last week.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I took your lead, and I was having an issue with my doorbell not connecting to Wi-Fi. And I took your lead, and I bought a range extender, but I bought one that is a power Ethernet over, what do they call it? A power line Ethernet adapter.
Yeah, I
So you
tried.
plug it into use your house. We've talked about that before. Uses your house's electrical system, and this particular one has I put it right by my front door where the doorbell is, and it has the two antennas, and then on the bottom of it, it has I think it has 4 Ethernet ports, and it's not a gigabit, I don't believe. But it's plenty fast enough because I run one cable over to my TV so that it's the Roku on that. It's a Roku TV, so it has an. I always try to default to wired connections if I can, but I haven't had any problems with that doorbell since I put that in within the last month.
What brand was it? What brand?
I'll find out. Don't recall.
Look at your Amazon history, order history.
Yeah. Sorry I interrupted you there, Ken, but that was your sharing that last month was helpful.
Yeah, about all I had. I use that. Really got it because I was having trouble keeping my Echo online. Every now and then I would ask Alexa to keep a timer or do something, and I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. So
Yeah.
And then I decided, well, the new simulator that they got is a kind of an online thing because it simulates the whole world. So if I want to fly in Africa or I want to fly over in Europe or someplace, it has to load that data up through my computer live while I'm flying. And I thought, well, maybe 100 wouldn't be enough, but it was. But 400 is better, I guess.
What brand did you get? Ken, what brand did you get?
Damned if I know. I'd have to look at
Okay,
my Amazon.
later. Okay,
It was about $25, $30 all it was.
okay.
It was an El Cheapo, and I just looked up, how many, they give you how many stars.
Yeah, like a Wi-Fi extender.
Yeah, 4.5 stars, something like that. And it was amazingly easy. You push a button on the router, and you push a button on the extender. It connects. You got another actual source of
So it's 2 units, a sender and a.
One little package size, if you remember, a package of cigarettes.
Uh-huh. Wow.
About that size. But that's and just plugs in the wall. And it's got couple little antennas on it, and it really boosts the signal. But the big one was the 5G stuff. It went anyhow 2.5 further than it was.
Oh, so yours plugs into the wall for power.
Yes.
Ah, okay, just like Sean's.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, mine's a power line.
Yeah,
So,
his communicates with the power lines. The difference is his doesn't go past the, it's just in his house.
right. Well, the one that I purchased has antennas. It's on the other end, not near my router, but on the other end,
Right.
it has that unit has the antenna, so it can reach outside, and that was the purpose, so I could get to reach my doorbell.
Right. So it's one unit only. It's not a sender and a receiver.
It is a sender and receiver,
Oh, okay.
and I put a link to it in my notes. It's
Okay.
a Netgear.
Yeah, mine is not. Mine
$90.
just plug it in the wall and it sends and receives on its own.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, it works well. I'm really happy with them. They came out and it took them a day to get it working, and then after that, it's been very reliable.
Wait a minute. Somebody came out?
Yeah, because I had it changed from 100 to 400. Not on the booster. It was on the change at Spectrum.
Oh, you got a new modem and a new
modem installed.
Okay, gotcha. And your wireless, with the exception of those extenders, your wireless is handled by the Spectrum modem router combo unit.
And it is very good on its own. Like I said, 5G out in the driveway and in the backyard.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
It is.
Yeah, I noticed that with my AT&T. It's pretty good when they put their units at my shop and at the house. But then I am spending $10 a month to rent that machine.
It better be.
Yeah.
So, when do we start buying our own cable modem and router,
Well, you can do that now if you want to.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. I think Mike does.
I do. I don't.
You too? Yeah, I don't.
I specifically ask for a unit that is not that does not have the router built into it, because I want to take care of that stuff on my own. But that's a very handy thing if you're not inclined to want to do that, and it works well.
Well, like my case right now with my AT&T router, my cable modem, I'm locked out because the access code doesn't work. So I've been locked out of it for 2 days, and I can't get tech support to help me unlock it. So I next time I call, I have to budget another hour and a half to talk to someone to see if I can get someone at high enough level that can reset my cable modem so I can get my access code, so I can separate my 2.4 and my 5 gigahertz radios and give them 2 separate names.
Yeah.
You were the one that were talking about, keep on repeating, I need a representative.
Representative, because here's what happened. If you let their virtual assistant help you, it says, what service do you need help with? And I'll say, internet. They'll go, is this a business or a personal? I'll say, personal. And they go, well, let me check your router. And then you hear this click, 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 click. 1 moment, please. Click, 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 click. And that goes on for a couple minutes. And then it says, we've determined that we have to send someone to your house from this troubleshooting. But we must say that if it's not the fault of our equipment, you're going to have to pay for this guy to show up.
Good business.
Well, what was all that clicking sound? I thought that was diagnostic stuff.
No.
I hate that clicking.
Oh, come on. Computers make noises when they think.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds like a ping pong. It's like ping pong, 200 miles an hour, ping pong.
Right. Yeah.
I think they make noises for the sake of the customer, so they think something's happening.
It's your rotary dial clicking back to zero.
I thought it was this sound,
I have fiber optics right up to the house, and so there's a different kind of a box inside the house, and then so I don't screw around with it at all. It works, and it's been that way for 2 or 3 years now, and I haven't touched it.
Wow, you're lucky to have it right to your house.
Yep. I
Say,
only pay for and get 150 up and down, but I could get, I think 500. I might be able to get a gigabit if I wanted to pay for it.
Yeah.
My son-in-law does.
say before the TechSIG ends, and I was just looking at the secret menu stuff again. And one of you said that there's a entrance key, in other words, to initiate to get in. I didn't fully, I understand what you said, but I don't understand how to do it. Do we have that written down somewhere we could put that out, or?
If you find it, let us know.
Oh,
Because
okay. I mean, it's not,
You're the one that's been looking it up.
yeah,
You're the one who found it.
well, I got everything
I
in
did
front of me, and
I went to Google and I typed in secret or Roku secret menu. And it said, then and it says, people ask what is meant by baud rate, so on and so on. And it told me how to get to the secret menu. I don't have that up right now. But
Has anybody discussed malware on smart TVs? When I bought my TV, I decided not to use the internet connection on it, which is because I had read about the apps that the smart TV has that are go to the internet. You can get malware on the apps. Is this ever been discussed here?
No, but it's a good topic.
Yeah. So I disconnected my Ethernet cable and use only cable to communicate. And I can do pretty much anything with going through the cable rather than going through Ethernet on my smart TV.
Well, what's the purpose of the smart part?
It allows you to have a whole bunch of different apps that Samsung, this says Samsung TV.
Oh, okay.
And it keeps on, when I first connected, it says, you have malware on your, it gave a warning, says it could be some of our apps might have malware on them. So
Wow,
that's
really?
when I decided to disconnect the Ethernet port on my smart TV.
Yeah, that actually was I remember a couple years ago, there was a factory somewhere in China or Korea that they were installing malware.
Yeah.
Somebody was doing it on purpose, but I don't think the factory was aware that
Yeah.
that was happening. So I wonder if that was the case.
Could very well be.
Yeah, I have a Philips TV that has smart apps on it, but the thing is just so slow and ridiculous.
Right.
It's so difficult to use.
Yeah.
And since I've discovered Roku several years ago, all the TVs that I've purchased since are the Roku TVs. I like of course, eventually those will slow down and I'll have to get new TVs, I guess, or something.
I remembered it bringing up the subject because if I switch to a Roku box, which has an Ethernet cable, where do I get the Ethernet cable from? Well, I get it from the cable that I disconnected to hooked up to my TV.
Yes. Yes, that'll work.
I sent the URL that access to the secret menus to everybody.
Thank you.
Just put a copy and switch it on and give it a look.
Great.
It tells you how fast your Roku is then, or what the transfer rate is.
I just was interested in the conversation. I like solving problems.
The secret menu would allow you to tell what the transfer rate is for your Roku.
It lets you set.
One of the things that'll tell you what the bandwidth is, something like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be way high enough for video, which is the highest thing you're going to send.
I don't know whether,
Anything
I
else?
think it's my Roku tells me that.
Hey, I don't know.
Well, could very well be.
I think there's a setting, you go into the settings and I
Yeah,
can't
right,
remember.
right.
It might be the other one. I don't know. It might be the Fire Stick, but one of them tells me at least.
My guess it would adjust it to whatever speed it could get reliably. That's what I would
Yeah.
find.
Yeah. The older Rokus probably only get the 2.4, and the newer ones probably get both.
Right.
All right, Stan, I'll take a turn.
Okay, that'd be fine. You,
My Chromebook I've had since a year ago, July, so I've had it for a while. I don't remember which morning it was. It was about a week ago. At night it was working. I closed it, shut it off, closed it. It's a laptop. When I opened it up the next morning, nothing. I mean, nothing. No. And when I plugged in the charger, the little charging light was on, but nothing was happening. And when I pushed in, usually when you open the lid, it starts right up within 5 seconds. So that was unusual. So I pushed there's also a on off button. So I pushed it and held it in for, probably about 10 seconds and nothing. Tried it again for about 10 seconds, nothing. And finally I said, I'm hoping I don't have a dead Chromebook. So I'm only 2 blocks from Best Buy, and that's where I bought it. So I took it over to the Geek Squad. Well, 2 young guys were at the desk when I got there. One probably was a trainee because the other guy was kind of telling him what to do and showing him things. But they looked at it and they said, well, if it's the battery, we have to take the whole thing apart and to check the battery. He said, it could be. And I said, yeah, but if it was the battery, wouldn't plugging it in? He said, well, no, if it's the battery's bad, we got to take it out and then go around so that it should work if it's the battery. And that didn't sound right to me, but okay. And so then he sent the kid out to the back and he said to get somebody, and I thought it was to take care of the person behind me, but it wasn't. It was an older guy with a little walking stick, and so it was somebody seasoned by all means. And he came over and so I went through the whole rigmarole of what happened with it, and he was looking at it and he said, well, it's a Dell and we don't fix them here. We have to ship it off to Dell, and you're probably looking at $400 to $600. I only paid $399 for it at
Really?
Best Buy.
Holy cow.
But he said, he said, that's the only thing we can do, even if it's just the battery. And if it's a dead motherboard or something, it's not worth fixing. And I said, well, yeah. So he's looking around. He said, well, so he pushed in the on off button and he held it longer than I did and it came on.
wow.
And he said, well, you got to hold it in at least 12 seconds. Well, I was thinking 10. So.
By that much.
And it's worked ever since. So that must have been it. For some reason or another, it just shut off, and I had to hit that button 2 seconds longer, and it saved me $600 to either get that one fixed or buy a new one for $600.
Wow.
Sure.
That's a good one.
But these things that they're throwaways anymore. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on any kind of a laptop because they don't fix them.
Right.
And if they do,
How
they
much
charge
is
you
too
enough money,
much?
you might as well buy a new one.
Well, same with
Well, how much-
TVs. They don't fix TVs either.
No. Or phones. Well, phones you can get somewhat fixed, but they still only have a life. By 2 years they're out of date and you can't update them.
I
A
had
lot of the phones.
How much is too much for a laptop?
Depends on what you want to do with it. You can buy laptops for 300, 500, 700, 2,000. What do you want to do with it? And what kind of brand do you want? And what do you want in it? Even Chromebooks, you can get them anywhere from $200 to $2,000. And so I have when people ask me, well, what kind of a Chromebook should I get? First of all, I determine what they're going to do with it. But then I kind of I've got some minimum requirements that I think everyone should have, and then I have some that, depending on what you're going to use it for, what you might want to add to that. But for the most part, $300 to $500 for a Chromebook is perfect. Except, well, not right now because you can't find any. If you find them, it's whatever the price is, that's what it is. They're not on sale for the most part. Although I did see one, a Lenovo at a good price. Was it a Lenovo? I think it was. Or it was an Acer or an Asus. I think the model was 713 Flip. It's supposed to be one of the better ones this year. And it was on sale for about $150 off. But for the schools can't get them. There's millions on back order for the schools.
When I was talking to Best Buy today, I got this gal I called my local Best Buy and I got somebody in Pennsylvania. So she was really nice and pretty informative. I was asking her, I said, there's a lot of computers on their website I'm looking at here that might meet my, standards, but they're not available. And I said, well, how about this one I'm looking at? Is that available? Oh yeah, no problem, but it's not in the store. And then anyway, we got off into supply and demand. She says, right now, there's a problem getting the stores stocked with computers. And she kind of went on and elaborated on that. But that was pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, because of all of the people working at home now,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
need computers to work with. One of the tricks that I have used since the early days of computers, when I go into a store or if I'm talking to somebody online, I always ask them a couple of questions I know the answers to. And then you can find out whether they're bullshitting you or they know what they're talking about.
Good idea.
So I always give them a question that I just don't have the answer to, but I know it. And I just ask it in such a way that I sound like I don't have a clue, and then just see what kind of response I get. And if they skirt around it or come up with some flimsy reasoning, or the answer is just nowhere near being right because they don't know either, I know that no sense in asking them any more questions.
Well, you might hit the one they know.
Yeah, that's why I say usually a few questions, but a lot of times you can tell how they answer it too.
Oh, brother, can you? Especially if you're a technician.
Hey, Huey,
Yes.
with the Chromebooks, I'm interested in that. Can you put another operating system on that as well, or is it just the?
Well, it does have the ability now to run Linux.
Okay.
And you can run a Linux virtual machine in it. And Parallels has now come out with a version that will run on the Chrome OS where you can run Windows, but there's a big but. And that is you have to have the Google G Suite Enterprise. And then you also have to have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, and they recommend 16 to run the Parallels.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's geared for the enterprise, for companies that need to run certain Windows programs for their staff, but they want to still have the control of what they can do with a Chromebook, because they can just wipe it, or they can just make it happen right away if they just have a new machine or something. It just is easier for them to control. But it's mostly for the enterprise, and it's not going to be an easy thing to run Windows programs on a Chromebook, even though you're seeing a lot of articles, if you read any of the blogs and stuff, saying that Windows is going to be available for Chromebooks, but it's not going to be soon, and it's not going to be easy. You can do it now. You can get Parallels now for it. The Parallels run about $70, but you have to have the professional, as I say, the Enterprise G Suite as well.
So my interest is to purchase a Chromebook, and while I will likely use Chromebook, I'd like the ability to install Linux natively on the computer, not necessarily in a virtual machine.
Yeah, no, as far as I know, well, it runs, my understanding is that you can actually run commands and do some things with Linux. You turn it on within the settings. So I don't think it's really a virtual, I don't know that it's a virtual machine. Well, a Chromebook is a virtual machine. Every part of it is, and that's why you can't get a virus on it. Because even if you do an update to the operating system, there's two versions of the operating system. It updates the second one, and then when you reboot, it switches them and you get the new one. And then if you have a problem because it runs from the Chromebook, or I'm sorry, the Chrome browser, is if one tab gets something or something happens to it, that's dead, but the rest of it isn't affected, and you just close that out and you're done, and you're running fine. So
Okay, thanks.
Okay, who's next? Dave?
Well, I just pass on something. I use Amazon quite a bit. I guess most people do. But some of the problems I've ran into with if they say, okay, here's a receipt for the book, Kindle book that you get you want a receipt for that. And I use Safari. This is on an iMac, and it's got so long long connection that, and rerouting into different ways, it comes back and say Safari can't locate the host or something to that effect. But then when I switch over to Chrome web browser, and Chrome doesn't have any problems with accessing this long redirecting and the redirecting again and again and again until it finally winds up where it is. So it's an unusual situation that Safari it just fails at some places where you just have to use Chrome.
I'm a big fan of Firefox myself.
I have ran into the same problem with Touchdown. I have this website, touchdown.com, that where we do movies and so forth here at the Mayflower, and the Safari wouldn't render some of the thumbnails on the videos and so forth, and I had to use Chrome on that because it didn't have any problem with coming up with thumbnails of the videos and so forth. So
Dave, in Safari, I forget what tab it is because I'm in this Zoom meeting, but you can change the way it loads. You can make it emulate other browsers. Have you tried that? It's a menu at the top, and it's like the second, third.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I'm not. Well, I haven't tried that. I might try it then.
Yeah, you could tell Safari to emulate Firefox.
Okay.
And see how it works.
Yeah, and that's under the develop menu, and it's under user agent.
I've used it before, actually. Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Microsoft Edge now is also a Chrome-based browser, and that's something else you could always try. I believe there's a version you can download now for.
Well, I
don't have a version for my Chromebook yet, but
one of the reasons why I switched over to Chrome for going to Touchdown was that every time I would go into the web page, I would have to go up and access a developer movie menu and switch over. So it's too much bother. I'm on it maybe 2-3 times a day sometimes, and to have to go through that whole exercise, it's better just to have one program one browser for one website, and it's much easier.
I think now that we have HTML5, that the web pages are really loading much better than they used to, regardless of the browser.
Yeah.
HTML5 has helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Do all websites have that?
Just
No.
about.
Yeah.
Not all, no. But
Amazon, would Amazon have it?
Probably. Let's see.
Good guess.
looking at the source code,
Yeah.
well, HTML, it doesn't matter if you're using a computer or a Windows or a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, it automatically resizes to whatever device is reading the web page. Where before you'd have to purposely, as a website developer, develop all 4 or 5 types of machines that might be looking at your website.
Yeah, there's a term for that, and it's just escaping me.
It's like dynamic.
Responsive, yeah, responsive, yeah, responsive.
Yeah.
If it sees you're on a phone, it'll make it smaller and have the
Right.
items one below the other. Or if you're on a big screen, you're going to see them next to each other.
Yeah, and a lot of them now have what's called the hamburger. So 3 lines, and you click on that, and then that opens up a menu.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you for the explaining about HomeKit, because I found out that on my iPad I had deleted the Home app, so I got on the app page and the app site and reloaded it back in, and so now I have it on.
Oh, great. Do you have anything that you can put in Home? For those of you who aren't Mac people, Home is the app that Apple uses to control IoT devices like lights or garage door or thermostats and such. Do you have anything that that it recognizes?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect what I have now, which is one of these deals where it turns on the light depending on what hemisphere you're in or what latitude and longitude you're at to turn on the light. So it depends on, and so there's too many variables and it doesn't work too well. But you can, I've had it for about 8 years now. And when you initially set it up, you say what latitude you're on or what latitude. And it calculates when the sun set and when it rises, but it seems to be off but sometimes. And I figure if I could use this, instead getting, it starts with an M, something or other. It's just a strip that's got 3 grounded plugs on it, and you can just plug anything into it. And I can use the iPad to set up a time schedule for it to come on at one time. And then it's very simple. When it switches over to daylight saving time, I can just redo it reset the Home app for the new time.
Do you know if that is HomeKit compatible?
Yes.
It is?
That's
Okay.
what it says. Now, why I start the whole conversation was because I went on Amazon and it says it's compatible with it listed Alexa and then listed some of the others and
Okay.
the HomeKit.
Great. I guess I'll go next, Stan.
Sure.
I talked about the power line extender that I purchased. I recently purchased a smart, it was a really good deal. It was a company called Miros, Meross. I purchased a smart light switch from them, and it was a 2-pack. And on Amazon's webpage, if you scroll down and look, somebody told me about this. A friend of mine who just purchased them told me that if you go down to the web page on Amazon site, there was a place that said save $5 more. So it was already like $29, and then I clicked the checkbox that says save another $5. I don't know why they wouldn't put that without having to click that checkbox, but it brought it down to like under $25 for 2 of these light switches. And I purchased them because they're HomeKit compatible. Not that I purchase everything I purchase isn't always HomeKit compatible, but I thought that was a pretty good deal. HomeKit compatible stuff is usually more expensive, unfortunately. But I got them, and I installed them here in my apartment on the, they're single pole. They're not, you can't use them on a 3-way. It's just a single switch, which was okay. And I installed 2 of them, one for my fans in my living room and the other one for the light in the fan. And they work. However, I had a hell of a time getting them to pair with either the Miros app or HomeKit. I finally got it to pair with HomeKit on one of the switches, but the second switch, I could not get that to pair. It just wouldn't pair. So part of what I was doing this evening was trying to get it to pair with, I got it. Now I have both of them listed in the Miros app, and they both work. But I got to get them into HomeKit as well, because then I can set routines and so forth in there. But anyway, I put a link to that. The price, that's no longer a deal, but it's still not bad for 2 switches. It's $40. I also we were talking about Roku and the Roku private or hidden menus. There's also hidden apps. There's a hidden channels rather that you can install in your Roku.
There are hundreds of them, or even more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put a link to the 15 best private and hidden Roku channels in 2020.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sean, can I show you something that I bought? I don't know I don't know the equipment you're talking about, but let me just show you this here and here. This is something I bought. It's a Wi-Fi smart power strip surge protector extension with 4 individual controlled smart plugs and then 4 USB ports. You can turn the USB ports off or on, but it's all 4 of them. But each of the plugs are individual ones. And then I have them using my my Amazon, the girl's name. Don't want to say it because it starts everybody's going. But I don't know if this will work with the equipment you have or not, but it works with the Google and it works with the Amazon stuff. And I've got it on my desk, and I'm able to plug different things into the plug, and I can turn the plug off. And I can turn the whole strip off if I want, and I can turn the USB off if I want.
That's cool. So and the company is Jadada.
I got it. It's Amazon.
Yeah, but it says that the brand is called Jadada, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let me look and see. The one that
it's currently unavailable, but I just bought it in July.
Yeah, it's probably they're out of stock. So
yeah.
Let me look if I can use that.
I like to
bring the link. I'll put the link in the chat box if you want.
Okay,
you
that'd
can
be
add
great.
it to the notes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
But I just thought you might want to see that. I find that having the extra plugs on my desk when I need them, and I can plug something in and say, well, if I don't want to use it, I can just shut it off at the plug.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Let me go into the chat and I'll give you the link.
While you're waiting, I'll mention that I bought this color laser printer from HP. And when I plugged it in and so forth, it got this high-pitched whine from it anytime it printed. And so I called tech support, and they said, well, are you going through a surge suppressor? And I said, yeah, because I'm using UPS and there's a surge suppressor on it and I'm plugging in there. Says, that's your problem. Put it directly into your wall socket and that will go away. So, which I did, and it disappeared. I had never
What was the symptom?
high-pitched whine and it drives my wife crazy because she can hear the high frequencies. And anytime I would print a page, the people would come out and real high-pitched. And that was what it was causing, was going through a surge suppressor caused it. I'd never heard of that before.
I had always heard not to ever put a laser printer through a surge protector or through a UPS.
Yeah.
Because it uses too much power.
Oh, yeah, I know a UPS, but on the UPS, it also has surge protectors that don't use the UPS, feature, and it's just surge suppressor. About 3 of them that they're just surge suppressors. But anyway, since you brought up surge suppressors, I thought that was something I remembered.
Yeah, those laser printers, my experience has been anytime that they kick on to warm up, the room lights dim just for a second. You ever notice that?
No.
Yeah, that's when your power bill goes like this.
Yeah, exactly. I can watch that move. Yeah.
I live in a retirement community, so I don't get any of that kind of stuff.
I'll make one quick comment. While I was waiting, I just got into the secret menu with Ken's suggestion. I Googled it, and 2 menus come up, and the second one says, to access Roku secret menu, follow this procedure. I did. It opened up, but I didn't have to do any of that other stuff. And I got options that I wasn't really familiar with. I'm looking at, and I'm not going to do anything. It said the processor speed of the Roku and all of this stuff. So
I think you should change all the settings.
yeah.
And then if your computer works, let us know.
Exactly.
Paul, is there a reset the default option on that?
Yes, there is.
Very good. Need that.
Just remember how to get there.
What does anybody know what processor the Rokus use? Is it an ARM processor or what?
I think it's Android.
That's software.
Oh,
The
processor.
It would. I guess it could be an ARM then in that case. But I'm thinking about it. I wonder if you could. I have never looked it up, but I wonder, just thinking out loud, if you can hack a Roku and turn it into a computer, like install Raspberry Pi or something on there, or Linux, or for that matter. Anyway, okay. So let's see. I talked about the private channels. Oh, Prime Days came up recently, and I saw some posts from Mike Ungerman mainly. I went on Prime Days and I found that they had the Amazon Echo Dots, the 3rd generation, for like $17.99, I think was the price. I bought 3 of them. My goal is to just upgrade because I had the original Echo Dots, and the sound I already had one new 3rd generation, and I really like the speaker on it. Sounds much better. So now I've got a total of 4 of those units, and they work great. With the exception of, I have a speaker group that I created, and I've tried saying her name and then play such and such song on the Everywhere group. I think I called it Everywhere or all, and it only plays on. In fact, it either plays on the one that hears me, or I'll hear it playing in another room. So it doesn't actually play on all of the speaker groups. So I don't know what that's about. I did notice that if I go into my app on my phone and I go and I hit the play button on there, as soon as I click on something I want to play, it'll say, where do you want to play this? You know, on this device or on one of these devices, and there's the all group or everywhere group. And then it works.
Sean,
Yeah.
did you use that name all group before you bought these new ones? Because from what I hear,
it was called Everywhere. And then I wound up changing it to All Today just to see if I could get it to work, and it didn't.
And you deleted the old one.
I renamed it.
I think I had to delete mine and then create a whole new group.
Okay, I'll try that. I couldn't find a place to actually delete the speaker group. I could change it, but I don't think I could. I'll look again. That's a good. I'll find that.
But I went through this and I called tech support and it says just delete the old name, the old group, and just create a new group with your new equipment.
Okay, I'll do that. Funny thing is, speaking of the Echoes, my wife's account is part of. I'm the Prime holder, and my wife obviously she's part of my family, and our son Steven, who lives in Washington D.C., is part of our Prime. So he can get free delivery and so forth. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, when he gets a delivery, I get a notification on our speakers, and it says, and I'll say, you know, what's my notification? And she'll say, this is a delivery notification for Steven, you know, and it'll tell me what he's ordered, that it's being delivered today. So I thought that was odd. I don't know if there's a way to turn that off. I don't care really, but the funny thing is, when Heather orders something, I don't get a notification. It just and it just started happening for him recently. I always got notifications for my deliveries, none for Heather and none for Steven until when I got home from our trip.
Maybe it's the settings that he and Steven's settings.
Maybe I'll have to look at Heather's phone. I'm not near his phone. I don't want to bother him with it. Although I may want to tell him that it's happening. But if I can look.
Completely different subject. Is everybody familiar with a Fingbox? On the recommendation of Sean, I bought one of these about a year ago, I guess. And I didn't really find it that useful. So if anybody wants one, I'm willing to give it to you. Sean could explain what it does.
I've had one since it was I think it was an Indiegogo or one of those things, and I signed up for it, and that's how I got mine.
Yeah.
Do you use it, Huey?
Yeah, it's on all the time, and it lets me know when I'm down or if there's a problem or somebody joined the network, and it tells me what it's supposed to tell me.
Right.
And it shows me how many devices I actually have in the house. It scares the hell out of me. No wonder the house glows at night. Robin says the bedroom looks like a runway with all the little blue indicator lights and red indicator lights all over the desk and the top and the bottom and the floor. And
speaking of that,
entire community, so I didn't find it too useful.
Right.
There's all kinds of Wi-Fi, 10 Wi-Fis that I could hook up to. They're all password protected, but
right.
Another
nice feature of the Fingbox is you can look in there. It'll tell you what your average internet speed is, and when where you can actually look at a history of where your internet was up and down and so forth. But you may want to put a note on the bulletin board, on the Google groups or the Google groups, and just let folks know, hey, I've got one of these. And
right.
How about our BBS that we have?
Yeah.
No, the one that Michael has.
The Discord.
Discord.
Yeah, we could. I don't think Dave's on that, and I don't know if it's worth signing up just for that. Probably get a wide audience on the.
I am on it, but I haven't used it since I first signed up about a month ago. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, maybe put it on there and say I'm looking to get rid of this.
Yeah.
Back to Huey and the Echoes, and having a lot of lights on. last night I was thinking about it. I have a routine where I can say her name and then bedtime, and it turns all the lights in the house off. But the bedroom lights next to the bed just go to low, like 1% red. So our eyes are, so we can still see,
Yeah.
you know, but then when I'm ready to go to bed, actually go to sleep, I'll ask her again and I'll say good night. And then those lights go off. And then it makes sure that my doors are locked and my other lights are also off. And it closes the garage doors. And then it'll say a good night, Heather and Sean, and Vincent too. That's our dog. And we always, it never fails. We always laugh at that. But one of the things that you can do with these Echo Dots is you can install a skill that turns it into a nightlight.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah, and if you say enable nightlight, I forget. I was thinking about it last night, and I installed the skill, and I tried to add it to that routine, and it isn't an option in there because I would like to be able to say that, and then all of the echoes turn their light on so that I've got walking path because they're all near the floor on the. I've got holders, and I thought that would be a neat thing, or just have them have that skill run at a certain time of day every day. I'm going to look into that, and I'm part of the on the. Anybody here remember of Reddit?
Yeah.
Reddit. So Reddit, they've got all kinds of subreddits, and one of them obviously would be for the Echo. And I'm gonna post on there to see if anybody has figured out a way to do that. If they ever had an idea of doing that. So I got those Echo Dots. Got them hooked up last night. I also bought holders for them. Came in a pack of 4 for like $15, I think. I put that in the notes as well, so you can look at them. But they're great. So you take the cord, it all fits in one. You take the cord, you wind it around inside of it, and then when you hang it on the wall, you don't even see the cord. It just plugs in, and the plug is up here, and then comes down, and then there's the Echo Dot, and the cord is wrapped into the unit neatly behind it. So pretty.
I don't
cool.
have any more plugs anywhere.
I know I'm running out.
Yeah, and I've got what they call them octopus type extension cords I bought years ago from Radio Shack, and they all kind of spread out so you can get the blocks on the ends of them. And I got them plugged into each other, and I'm in a 1-bedroom house, so we don't have a lot of plugs to begin with.
Right. You've got too many things when you think about how could I go about installing a 4-plug thing here instead of the 2-plug.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm in a similar situation. Another thing, let's see, that I just got one more thing. Recently took a trip. This is for Ken. I think we bought our Hondas around the same time, and my wife and I took a 2-week trip. We just got back. Took a 2-week trip up to Vermont and New Hampshire in our CRV. And I traveled it on the way up there. I tried to get the best fuel economy that I could get. And I had the cruise set at 67, and I got 37.5
Holy cow.
on the miles per gallon. That was the average. I think the car told me I was getting better, but when I went to the fuel, the real test is when you go to the pump, you put the fuel in and you calculate that way. And it was 37.5. And I use an app on my phone called Fuely. And there's a free version and a paid version. I had the free version. And when I plugged in all my numbers, it popped up and said, you want to check this. This doesn't seem right. We think you've entered a number incorrectly. Because I had never gotten more than about 33, something like that. But the overall trip, we traveled almost exactly 4,000 miles because we went up and back, and then we also went all around up in New England to check out the leaves. And when I got back, it was just over 35 miles to the gallon overall for the trip. So
that's great.
It is great. It's the turbo. It's a 4-cylinder turbocharged with the CVT transmission, which I wasn't crazy about CBT. I like the feel of a shift, but I've gotten completely used to it, and the power is always exactly what it needs to be to keep the vehicle moving. And the turbos, you don't hear them. I had a car in the past where you could hear the turbos. Can't hear it, but you punch the gas and it moves. It's really
It's interesting. I have the bigger one, the Odyssey.
yeah.
I don't get mileage like that, but then again, don't try. But I think since I bought the thing, it's averaged 22 miles a gallon since I bought it. Yeah, and it spends a lot of time sitting and idling. So I'm
Right.
really happy with it.
Yeah.
We've only taken 2 trips with it, and they haven't been difficult.
Mhm.
I had one more thing for Paul. Paul, if you want to see your Ethernet working, if you go to the Task Manager, open that up, go to Performance, and go to Ethernet. It'll show you the bandwidth you're using. I'm using 1.2 megabytes transmitting or receiving, and 440 kilobytes receiving. And you'll be able to see that anytime you want to look at your bandwidth. There it is. What you're using.
You're
Okay,
seeing that where?
It's
I'm looking.
Open your
I'm
Task
looking at the
Manager. Open your
I'm
Task
looking at
Manager
the
and go to Ethernet.
Ethernet.
Taskbar of what?
Task
I'm
Manager.
at- I'm
Of
on
Task Manager?
Yeah.
Well, what are you running? Windows 10? Or what are you running?
Doesn't make any difference.
So I'm on. I never remembered seeing that, and I'm pretty familiar with Task Manager.
Oh, okay. In Windows 7, it's called
Performance.
it's in. I think it may be under the performance function. I'm not sure. I don't remember in Windows 7. What I'm giving you is Windows 10. You're right.
In Windows 10, it's under what? Performance?
But it isn't done as well in Windows 7 as it is in Windows 10. Windows 10, they actually tell you what the highest bandwidth you have used recently in the picture. So sometimes mine will jump up to 400 or 500 and then drop back down to 10 or 15. But
And
right
Ken,
now,
where are you seeing this?
on the Task Manager, in the performance plate, and on Ethernet.
Okay, there's my Ethernet. Okay. I'm sending 416, 432 kbps, and I'm receiving 1.4 megabits per second.
Should be about the same for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think I got that. Of course, I know Task Manager pretty well, and I've never remembered seeing anything. I'm looking at all the 5 tabs now, and
If you want to test your internal speeds, just take 2 computers, like on Wi-Fi or on the Ethernet, and set them to transmit a large file from one to the other. And what will happen is it'll jump to the highest rate that it can go with the computers being used the way they are, and that'll tell you your max rate for interchange. My old one was like 26 or 27. I think my new one is like 300 or 200. So
I got a box that says system, and then it says handles and threads and processes.
no,
But there's no units there, so I don't know what the numbers.
I think it's the last one on the right. I don't know what the name of it is.
Well, that's users. The last one is users, and then it's networking.
Should be on networking, I think.
Okay,
I don't remember what it
networking.
is on 7. But there's a chart, and it's just a simple graph that moves from right to left.
All right. Well, I got networking, and there's something that says link speed, 100 megabytes.
There should be a graph there, a moving graph.
Well, I got 3 graphs. I got wireless, network, and
Yeah.
local area connection.
Whichever one's being used. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, just to change gears for 1 second, I played with the Roku again, and I did that same
I don't think that's changing gears.
menu 5 that didn't work for me, 6 times, and I did it, and the bit rate came up out of the blue. That was a different menu that I got a few minutes ago. The other menu I got was a real menu that you could really do some damage with.
All right,
But
change all those settings
But I
now, immediately.
I got the bit rate to come up, and the bit rate was set at 12 megahertz.
Oh, megahertz.
megabytes, mega something. I don't have it up right now, but it was the highest that it was.
12 megabits is plenty fast enough for anything you need to do.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere on the internet that somebody said, what kind of speed do I need to run Roku? And they said something like 4 gigabytes, megabytes, 4 megabytes,
Megabytes, yeah.
megabits, 4
Megabits.
megabits to run Roku.
It just depends on what you got. I've had 3 or 4 computers all running a movie out of this, my main machine up here, all at the same time. Nobody dropped a stitch. But I run pretty high-end stuff, mostly because I like to get from here to there in a hurry on Photoshop.
Interestingly, talking about sizes of hard drives and speeds and so forth, I had a client that moved from Orlando to Pittsburgh a while back, and I had a server an Apple server that I had set up for him, and he recently bought a QNAP. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of QNAP. It's like a network attached storage, and he had a professional that's known in Orlando set it up for him for video work, and this QNAP unit has 8 bays, and he filled each bay with a 16 terabyte NAS drive. And I think those drives were like $300 a piece. So I can't even imagine how much money he spent. And it's 8 drives, and I think he's got either 2 or 3 of the drives set for redundancy. So it's not. I don't know which RAID number that is. RAID 5 or RAID 6, I forget. But there's 16 terabyte drives out there.
Wow.
And he put 8 of them in his QNAP system. Absolutely amazing.
You must be renting that out for the cloud, right?
Yeah, really. And I said, what are you gonna? Are you backing it up?
What?
I don't even know. What do you do? Because a RAID is not a backup.
No.
And I can't imagine what it would cost to back up, whatever, how many, 64 terabytes, and how long it would take. He does have a fiber connection, but I don't think he has the gigabit. And I don't know if, who's got, Huey, did you say you've got fiber?
Yes.
No.
And if you have the option, you don't have it, but you have the option to go to gigabit?
I think I do. I don't know. I don't have the money.
Do you, do you know, have you ever looked at, can you get,
I know I can get 500. I can get a
is
half a
it
gigabit.
500, is it 500 down and up?
Yes.
See, that's nice.
Yeah. Whatever you get, it's up and down.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
getting
great.
150 up and 150 down.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. I don't know why they don't do that on the cable side, but that's common for cable companies not to do that.
Well, I'm doing I do a weekly show on called Tech for Seniors, and I've started something called a Starlink Report.
Yes.
And I've been following the Starlink quite a bit, and they're now beta testing, and they're doing about 50, 60 megabits down, and I don't remember what it is up. And they say it's definitely going to get a lot faster. And the biggest thing is it's going to be what they're going to do is by laser, they're going to shoot from one satellite to the next instead of everything's going to have to come down to Earth and then go back up. They're going to go from one satellite to the other and then down.
Wow.
So he's being very innovative with this whole thing. They've got an Indian village in Washington State that they've set up because they've been isolated and they have no internet there at all. And it took them totally into the 21st century. And they're close enough where it is. So they're able to do classroom learning to the kids there, which they could never do before.
That's great. I watched another video. I watch your videos, and thanks for putting those up. I watched another video from a guy named Lon I forget anyway, but anyway, he's talking today about that the betas had opened and that the equipment is $500 and a
Yeah,
monthly fee.
yeah, that's the art.
100.
There was an article in PC Mag today on that. Yeah, 500 for the equipment and 99 a month is what somebody is reporting. We don't know because they're not supposed to. If they're in the beta program, they're not supposed to say anything. They can't even say they're in the beta program.
Right.
That's
Right.
interesting because here we live in Florida where we can't get anything through the clouds on a thunderstorm day.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for me, Stan.
Okay. Well, anybody else got anything else?
I got one thing.
Okay, Gary.
Um, I bought this at Home Depot. It's called the Secure 360.
Yep.
Works with, you go to your Google Play or go to the App Store, and works with your Google Home devices and works with Echo. And I have a property next door that I use mostly for storage, and it has a porch in there that I put a bunch of. Well, I put 3 brand new garage doors in there, all the parts and overhead doors. And someone broke in one of the windows about a month ago, and then I boarded up that window, and then someone broke down a door and went through the door and came in, and then I boarded up that door, and then they broke in through another window. So then I boarded up the whole inside of the whole porch, so it looks like a jail inside. But what's happening is, people are getting desperate, and I've been here 35 years. We've had no thefts at all. I think there was one little girl's bicycle that was stolen like 15 years ago, but our neighborhood has been really solid and theft free. But these are people that are coming out in the middle of the night doing this. So that's why I bought this. Now this is a Wi-Fi security light. Oh, here it is. So it has Wi-Fi, and if I buy, let's say 3 or 4 of these and put it around the property, and then my property next door, which is on the same Wi-Fi network, I could put 3 or 4 lights all around that building too, one for each side. And you can write scenarios with your apps on your iPhone, or there's an iPhone app called Secure 360. And if someone trips one light, it could just light up the whole block, my side of the block, with as many lights as I want to put out there. And not only will all the lights turn on, but I can control how long the lights stay on. And it will notify my Google Home devices, my Alexa devices, and my iPhone and my Macintosh. And so I'll be well notified if someone trips one of these infrared barriers.
Doesn't pull your 45 out of the holster though.
No, doesn't pull out my 380 either. But
Will he call 911? Will he call 911?
well, I don't want to do that because it could be
Also,
well, yeah, it could be the wind or the rain or something. But with your phone, you can turn the system on and off and disarm it and arm it. And this is made by Heath Zenith. So they've been around for many, many years. And this one was $89. It's going to be my test to see if I like it. And they have another model for $179 that has a video camera too. And if you have an Echo Show, it will play the video on your Echo Show when they trip the wire.
What kind of power do the lights run on?
Look at this.
110?
Yes, that would work. No, no, it's 110 volts, and it just connects to your Wi-Fi network. The only trick is you have to separate your router. You can't have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz running on the same SSID. You have to separate the SSID, so you have to have AT&T 2.4 gigahertz radio channel and the 5 gigahertz radio channel, and then this will work on the 2.4 gigahertz channel.
And then
But
you
it
just got to
does-
get back. So you got to get back into your router to give them.
Right,
different
right
names.
now, I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to get AT&T to give me some tech support to give me my access code to my router. You know, like if I own my own router, I wouldn't have this problem, but because I'm renting this machine, they have control of the router.
When I called up Spectrum, they gave me the password right away.
Well, it's actually stamped on the outside of the box.
Oh, is it?
It's on the label what the access code is, but it doesn't work. So it has to be reset.
For a $99 visit, they'll do it for you.
I just don't want to hear all that clicking sound on the telephone.
Right. Hey, just a tip. I told you last night about I have floodlights that I changed the motion on.
Yeah.
And what I did, they're way up on the floodlights are mounted in the peak of my second floor, above my second floor. So I already have a fear of heights. So when I go up there, I only want to go up there maybe once or twice. Right? I don't want to keep going up and down. So what I did was I took an old extension cord and I cut off the end with the plugs, or so without the plug. I plugged it in. So I used that to hook up the light, and just sat in my living room, plugged it into the wall, and got it all paired up.
Yeah.
And once I knew that it was paired, and that was success, I unplugged it and then I went up the ladder. So
Hardwired it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then hardwired it. And that way, if you have any problems, if you do it that way, it's a lot less likely that you'll have.
Yeah,
have to go back up and down.
that's why I have this on it right now.
There you go. That's exactly. Good.
Gary, why can't you hook up a camera to it so you can see who the burglars are?
No, there is a version of this light with a camera. And then they have doorbells, the whole Secure 3 system, the whole, what they call Secure 360, they have a whole line of products, and they're all Wi-Fi, and they all talk to each other. That's it for right now. Unless, have you guys ever used ultraviolet glue?
No.
No.
Oh, well, here, let me give you a little demo.
You set it
Okay.
with UV light, right?
I bought this on Amazon. This is old. This is like 4 years old, and it's actually turning a little more like a gel than a liquid. I'm going to turn the box down. Okay, so let's say I have this rivet, and I have this box of rivets. Well, this rivet's much smaller than the photograph, right?
Yep.
So I want to have a representative of what this looks like. So I just get a skewer, and I just dip it in there, and you can just put a little there. I don't know if you're seeing this, and then you go in there with this UV light, and now it's hard like epoxy.
Huh.
I've seen that. I've seen that on TV a lot. It looks very interesting.
It's really good for like circuit boards. So let's say you put some headers on a circuit board or a terminal or something. You can actually put, if you try to turn the board upside down and solder it, then it wants to fall out. So what you do is you put the terminal or your headers on the circuit board, use this UV glue and tack it on, and then turn it upside down and then solder it. And it stays in place and it stays upright.
Gary, how hard is it? How hard is it? Could it use it to glue wood?
Yeah. Well, no, it has to be the UV, whatever the UV light can see sets it up. So if it's locked in between two pieces of wood, it wouldn't do it. It wouldn't see the light.
Right. Okay, sure.
But TV, Dentists use that for fillings. They fill it, and then they use the UV light to harden the filling.
Yeah, it's actually pretty darn cheap.
That's
So
cool.
it's not as strong. It doesn't have the surface tension that epoxy does, but it's good enough to tack things. You know, it's good things.
Sure.
Or you know, or you'd be surprised how useful it can be to have something quick like that to set something up.
If you
It's really,
spilled a
really
little bit
handy.
on you when you did that, is it like super glue that you really have a hard time getting it off of you? Or
No, you just wipe it off. But if you activate it with this light bulb, it gets real hot fast. It's like a flash burn, you know?
Sounds like you speak from experience.
Yes, I did. When I first got it, I thought, oh, what would happen if I, got on my finger and went, whoa, it's hot.
And you couldn't get it off.
is that why you're pointing like this?
Yes. Yeah, but it's very handy to have something like that around, between, tight bond and super glue and epoxies. This is just one more thing that's handy. I like it.
Yep.
And that's tech. This is tech. This is TechSIG. We can talk about
Absolutely.
that. Oh, and also business techie too. I was at Costco today and I bought this. Oh my God! I tried it when I got home. It's cooked in a vacuum, and it's slow cooked. Oh my God, I thought I died and went to heaven. It was absolutely the best steak I'd ever eaten in a long time. It was yummy.
Have you tried the lamb chops?
No.
They have those at Costco too, and those are excellent.
Ah, okay.
Standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to grow some of my own food, and I can't find any bacon seeds anywhere.
That's it for me. Yeah.
Time to go.
All right.
We ready, Stan?
Hey, Gary, on
Yeah.
that steak, did you have to cook it?
No, it's ready. You just open it up. It comes with two packages that are like vacuum sealed plastic, and so you can just open up one and save the other one for later. I think I'm going to get it. Cost about $10 a pound, so it was $20. I think I can get about 12 servings out of it.
So how do you heat it up?
Microwave.
I didn't. I ate it cold. It was delicious.
Really? Wow.
Well, it was cooked. It's already cooked, right?
It's already cooked. It's slow cooked in a vacuum, and they use a real low temperature. And there's something magic about it that I forget what they call it. They call it sous vide. Sous vide. That's the type of cooking that it is. It comes out of Virginia.
And I get she's mad too.
It really hurt.
Okay. That's a good one. I gotta go, guys. Good night.
All right, Stan, it's your turn to call
Well,
it a night.
All right, I just have one thing I wanted to bring up, and that is that for the main meeting of the Computer Society on Sunday, November the 8th, I am 99% sure I've got a chap that Patrick Dowling recommended to me, a guy named Andrew. I don't recall his last name, but I didn't realize that there is a clean room facility for hard drive repair in the Orlando area.
Huh.
That's what this guy does. He had been on the area between, I'm not sure whether it was near Reinhardt and Sanford, Lake Mary area. I think he's moving back into the Orlando area, but anyway, he's going to be our presenter for the main part of the meeting that Sunday afternoon. I'll have the information out to you, and it follows Huey's TechSIG, and for you Apple and Mac guys that don't want to come to that, you can come in at around 3 o'clock and just see him, for example. So should be pretty interesting. Patrick has said he's a pretty interesting speaker, and I'm looking forward to that.
What's his name?
Andrew Van or Vaughn something or other. I don't Raman or something like that. I don't have that right in front of me. I can send it to you. It'll be in, when I send out the announcement in a few days, it'll be in there.
What's his specialty?
Hard drive data recovery. Data Analyzers is the name of the company. They have a clean room, 100 micron, whatever, clean room where they can take them apart, take the platter out, put them in a different hard drive, get the data off.
Wow.
Many years ago, I had a client he had a complete photographic history all saved on the hard drive of his computer, and the hard drive crashed. No backup at the time. This had to be 10, 12 years ago, something like that. We actually sent it to one of these clean room facilities in California, and they said it would be $1,000, $1,200. And the couple had 4 kids. They're trying to prepare for college, that sort of thing. They just couldn't come up with the money. So they kept the hard drive. He's since moved back to California. I've lost track of him, but just one of those horrible kinds of things where people, back then we weren't that hip to knowing how to do backups, how important it was going to be that hard drives would fail, that kind of thing. So anyway, this is what Andrew's company does. And the whole point of it being here locally is one of the main things. And according to Patrick, the guy's quite a character, very interesting. So could be a great meeting.
Great.
Okay. I guess if nobody else has got anything, we'll call it a night. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, Stan.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Stan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And Huey, are you recording?
I am, and I'm going to stop it right now.
Yes.